The topic is so crucial that we want as many SMEs to benefit from it. This is a rare opportunity that you are getting. In a more business sense, most SMEs will pay consultancy to get this particular service. But UNIDO, under its Kaizen project, is offering this training for all enterprises that are willing to improve their productivity. Yes, welcome. The picture you are seeing is Linda. Linda, thank you very much. If at any point you feel like opening up your photo for us to see, feel free to do that. For the voice, because we don't want the voice to interrupt so much with our facilitator speech, we urge all of you to remain muted. After the presentation, we will give you an opportunity to ask questions or clarify. At that point, we will gladly open up your sound to enable you ask your question. I think the chat box is also opened. If at any time you feel like asking a question but cannot talk, feel free to enter your question in the chat box. Linda and I will be monitoring that closely and try to identify all. So my name is Eric Banye. I'm the SME development expert under this project. And Linda, who spoke earlier, is the communication and visibility expert. You will get to know more of the UNIDO team as we proceed. I see some of them joining. I will introduce them in a couple of minutes. We currently have 32 people. The topic 5S is so crucial to your own business. We have a lot of people who are registering to join this section. I'm sure, as usual in Ghana and wherever you are, internet may be challenging to you. So let's just give them a few more minutes and they'll be in. We currently have 42 participants. Out of the 42, about 5 of them are the UNIDO staff. So just hold on briefly. We'll start pretty soon. Hello, once again, welcome everybody. My name is Eric Banya. I'll be moderating this section with Linda Dala. She's our communication and visibility expert. We will call on our project manager to take us through the UNIDO enterprise performance approach briefly. After that, we'll zoom into the objectives and the Kaizen, the 5S concept for which we have this particular webinar. It will be done by Mr. Kipo Dari, the project coordinator based in Accra, and supported by Mr. Eric Nyako, our focal point at the Ghana Enterprise Agency. This project is implemented in collaboration with the Ghana Enterprise Agency, and I'd like to use this opportunity to acknowledge the team from the Ghana Enterprise Agency. I'm unable to see all your names here, but there are a number of colleagues here. We'll get to introduce them as we proceed. And also acknowledge the key role the enterprise has played in bringing the SMEs together for us to take them through the 5S. So this is one of the core responsibility of the Ghana Enterprise Agency, and we are excited to be working with them. Thank you very much, Ghana Enterprise Agency's team. Without wasting much time, let me call on our project manager, Mr. Marine Muzinu, to give us some introductory remarks and also the enterprise performance before we proceed. Marine, if you can hear me, I'll be very glad if you can
Thanks,
talk.
Vanya. Good morning, everyone, and good morning, SMEs, fellow SMEs from Ghana, as well as the GEA team. I will just make a very, very brief remarks because it actually goes against the philosophy of Kaizen to spend so much time in the preparation. And it's actually one of the 7 wastes that to eliminate from the factory floor, which our colleague Hippo and our fellow colleague Mr. Eric Otinyarko will walk us through today. So I would just briefly just appreciate the coordination work that we work together with the GEA team. So I would like to say thank you to GEA team for organizing this event and working together on this journey of introducing Kaizen spirit, Kaizen philosophy into Ghana's SMEs community. So thank you very much for the SMEs who gathered to this event. We'll make sure this is going to be a useful event, something that you can take back with to your factory floor, and you can implement the Kaizen hopefully after this call. So I was just present two of our very, very qualified Kaizen experts, Ghanaian Kaizen experts. The name of the person of Eric Otinyarko from Ghana Enterprise Agency, who is an advanced Kaizen consultant that we have the pleasure to work with, as well as the person of Kipo Dari, National Project Coordinator of UNIDO project. These two experts, national experts that Ghana possess, will walk through the essence of Kaizen, 5 ways, why Kaizen is important, and what actually you can do on the shop floor to continuously improving your productivity and quality. So without further ado, I will give the floor to my colleague Kipo. Kipo, the floor is yours. Please go ahead with the presentation, whatever you can present, and hopefully it's going to be something useful for the all Ghanaian enterprises. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Kipo, before you come in, let me just acknowledge the presence of Salama, who is one of our colleagues in Egypt. Salama is one of our experts helping us to organize this particular webinar. Salama, thank you very much and welcome. Over to you, Kipo.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Maren, for your brief overview. And thank you to all the SMEs present. We are most grateful for your time. I'll take you briefly to what this project is all about, just so that you are on the same page with us once the project for expanding the Kaizen initiative is concerned. This project is called the Project for Expanding the Kaizen Initiative by Enhancing Sustainable Agribusiness. And it's a project being implemented by UNIDO with partnership from Ghana Enterprises Agency, the lead agency responsible for the development and growth of SMEs in Ghana. This project started last year, and then we are almost 1 year now. You may hear of UNIDO. I'm not going to spend too much time of it, but UNIDO stands for United Nations Industrial Development Organization, one of the specialized units responsible for industrial development. The name itself suggests that UNIDO is the perfect body, institution of UN that is required to partner SMEs in Ghana for the sake of your development. And it is on the basis of this that the government of Ghana entered into the Memorandum of Understanding, signed a contract with UNIDO to help the apex body in Ghana, that is Ghana Enterprises Agency, to roll out an intervention that will support the development and growth of SMEs. So this is just a brief overview of the project for expanding the Kaizen initiative. And then UNIDO mandate of supporting member countries to improve SMEs is very, 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 very important. And then because of this mandate, it has to explore the best approaches, the best tools, the best interventions that SMEs can employ to be able to develop. So, and because it has been implementing a lot of tools, implementing a lot of interventions, implementing a lot of methodologies, approaches aimed at supporting SMEs over the world to improve the growth and development of SMEs. It has a lot of experience, vast experience, and then they are bringing this experience to bear to support government enterprise agency. So this presentation will basically be on one of the approaches, one of the methodologies UNIDO decided to implement with Ghana Enterprises Agency, the lead agency for the development of SMEs. And the presentation will be on basically the forces in the world of SMEs and introduce you briefly to the Kaizen concept, and then one of the major tools of the Kaizen concept, which is the 5S. And then I'll take you through what it is, why the 5S, who should conduct 5S, when to implement 5S, how to conduct it, and who or which institution can you go so that you'll be supported to implement 5X effectively and efficiently. It is without doubt that SMEs in Ghana, you are all the CEOs, management, and employees. You all know very well that there are some forces in the world of SMEs. Some call these forces dark forces. Some call them the blue forces. Some call them the green forces. Anyhow you call these forces, they present a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges in the attempt or the pursuit of SMEs to grow. At the same time, they do also present vast opportunities. And that is why some call them the blue forces. Blue in the sense that when you go deep inside the sea, you get a lot of challenges, risk, threats to your life. At the same time, there's food in the sea. But let's look at briefly these forces that can influence and shape SMEs are technology, which we all know, access to finance, access to markets, national policy and regulatory framework, global business ecosystem framework and initiatives, because we cannot do without the forces of the world. And then, most importantly, factory management and factory floor operations. These forces influence, shape the direction of every MSMEs. Interesting to know that all these forces, the management and factory floor operations is an internal force. Internal force in the sense that SMEs have control to determine or change the direction of their own business. But the other 5 forces, SMEs can only align or adapt to these blue forces because they don't control these external forces that influence the direction or the future of their businesses. But it is also important to note that the red force, which is a factory floor operations and management decision, is very critical. Critical in the sense that factory floor operations determines the SME performance. Strategic decisions by management determines the future of SME development. And then SME need this critical force to be able to leverage the vast opportunities that these other 5 forces present in the world of SMEs. Therefore, management and factory floor operations is very critical to the success of every business. And that is what we'll be paying attention on. What are the major concerns of management and factory floor operations? We've just indicated how critical is it. And you all agree and bear with me that major concerns of most MSMEs has to do with lack of employees' commitment, declining sales fortunes, consistent product deficiencies, missing production targets, missing delivery dates, workplace accidents, thefts and embezzlement, destructing. You can name them. There are a lot, and all these concerns happen at the factory floor and the management level of every company. And what do these concerns do to the business? It impacts the business in the area of productivity, quality, cost, health and safety of the workers, and team spirit, which is very, 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 these are very critical for the competitiveness of every business. And it goes to buttress the point that factory floor operations and strategic management decisions is fundamental for the success of every business. Therefore, there's a need to pay a lot of attention on factory floor operations. The question is, if it is important to pay attention on factory floor operations, then what can we do? What can SME do? That question is very important. It means to be able to address these concerns at the factory floor level, there's a need to adopt an approach which is cost effective, an approach which is very efficient, so that SMEs will be able to turn this around. And that comes to question the concept of Kaizen. And I'll take you through briefly what Kaizen is all about. Kaizen is simply a continuous improvement taken from the word kai, which means change, and then which means better. Basically, it places emphasis on the actions of factory floor operators, the actions of management members, the action of board directors in a way that is aimed at making little improvement, little changes on regular basis, aimed at improving productivity, quality, safety, and effectiveness. In short, it is just a waste reduction activity. To better put it, how do you eliminate waste in your everyday operations? And to do that, it means it involves every employee from management to factory hands. And in most cases, the problem SMEs face with regards to productivity improvement or competitiveness has to do with the initial forces of SMEs are introduced to you. There are some SMEs that do very well and crash out along the path of development. Others die and resurrect. Other SMEs are being birthed on daily basis. Others go into coma, and can't tell whether they'll be able to actually resurrect. So the most assured approach, concept that will be applicable to all SMEs, universal applicable to all SMEs, is an approach which is cost effective, an approach which is efficient, an approach which is effective, an approach that originates from the employees, an approach that is not depending a lot from external consultants, but rather utilization, leveraging the skills and knowledge of your internal workers. And that approach is what we refer to as the Kaizen. The leveraging of internal strengths, skills, knowledge to the betterment of the company on a regular basis is what we want to present to you today. And that is a concept of Kaizen. And it presents a lot of benefits. Site improvement, the productivity improvement, inventory management, waste elimination that are referred to as multi-skill development, product quality improvement, the production control. There are a lot of benefits you can derive from Kaizen, as I indicated. And before you can drive these benefits, you have to be able to implement all the strategies, all the techniques, the tools of Kaizen in order to benefit, to drive the maximum benefits of Kaizen. And what are these strategies? What are these techniques, tools of Kaizen? Today, I will just let you know there are a lot, but these are just few that I've just shown you. That is the 5S, industrial engineering, corporate accounting, inventory management, visual management, quality control, waste identification, the production control, machine maintenance. I can tell you for a fact that these strategies are many, varied, but has effective impact on the development of SMEs. Today, I may not be able to take you through all, but I want to touch on one, which is the foundation of Kaizen, which is the 5S. And before I step into the 5S, I'd like you to just understand briefly what the steps involved in Kaizen implementation, which is basically in your everyday life, you have to always plan. You have to always implement what you plan. You have to always check, monitor, evaluate what you plan, and then also act on the outcome of your evaluation, which is very important for the continuous improvement. So, and that is what we prefer Kaizen as, a continuous approach. It has no end. You plan, you implement your plan, you check whether you meet your goals or not. If not, then you have to review, recommend, and implement your recommendation in order for you to be able to maximize the benefit of Kaizen. And this approach, the PDCA, that is plan, do, check, act, is very important for you to harness the full benefit of Kaizen. And this is just an example of Kaizen that was implemented in Ghana. This is a Gary processing factory, which Ghana Enterprise Agency implemented in Kasanto region. Initially, this man was standing here. The duty, the role is to hold this lead for the women to come and pour Gary into this machine for decorating. But at the end, after implementing Kaizen, they introduce this creating machine with a jig where you can use your leg like this and press for the lid to automatically open. There was a reduction of 15 minutes of idle time, that is a waiting time, to 0. And this is automatically converted into productive hours because the man was reassigned to another activity. That is what Kaizen can do for you. I indicated earlier on that 5S is the foundation of Kaizen, and I will explain briefly why that is so. But before that, the concept of Kaizen, which I said is very important for productivity and quality improvement, cannot be one cannot fully optimize the benefit without implementing the concept of 5S. And we call the 5S the foundation to productivity improvement. You ask yourself, what is this 5S all about? The concept of 5S, what is it? It is a concept developed by the Japanese in order to ensure a healthy, comfortable, and productive life for everyone at the workplace. You all agree with me that for productivity to be enhanced in every work environment, there's a need for a healthy, comfortable, and productive life. And 5S concept was designed in order to address that. So I'll take you through what that 5S is all about and the definition of that. But what it intends to do or intends to achieve is that it makes people naturally disciplined. People become proud of their clean and organized workplace, and as a result, the company's good image generates more business opportunities. So if your workplace is well organized, it saves time, such time reduces, and you are able to find every little item, material, everything is always in place. You are able to determine when machine is actually having an issue. So 5S, to be successful, there's a need for commitment and support from top management. 5S cannot be implemented in a company when the top management don't see the benefit. And it involves top management to the low-level staff, including security at the factory. There's no observers in 5S implementation. Everybody is involved in 5S. And that is why, in most cases, we term 5S as a company-wide activity. A company-wide activity. Everybody in the company gets involved in the implementation of 5S. So what is it? What is the definition of the 5S? As I indicated earlier, the 5S is a concept developed to improve workplace safety, comfort, and productive life. And it is made up of 5 words, all starting from S. In Japanese, the first one is called the seri, in English, which is called the sorting, which literally means sorting out what is required at the workplace and disposal of what is not required at the workplace. Sorting out what is required at the workplace and disposal of what is not required at the workplace. In most of our companies, you realize that there are a lot of the company that is too congested. And most of these items, raw materials, parts are not actually needed, but they are occupying space, posing a lot of danger to people. Occupying space, limiting the capacity of the company to accommodate raw materials and finished goods, or even walkways. And that limits the productive life or the health and safety of that company. An item that is kept, it will take you a very long time to be able to move to a location to pick it. Siri is telling us, sort out what is required and put what is required in terms of the item, raw materials in the factory. What is not required, dispose them of with the permission of top management. The second is the set in order, and then in the Japanese language is seton, which means set in order. Once you are able to sort out what is required, items that are required for the production in the factory, items that are not required but are present, located in the factory floor, and you are able to dispose them of, what is required is arrange them in order so that it makes it easier for location and identification of these items or materials. And then the picture presents a situation where you see these tools on the floor, mixed up, and for you to be able to locate a tool, it will take you time. But if you do Kaizen, after the Kaizen, it will be very easy for you to be able to identify a tool after walking to that board. It reduces your search time drastically. And if one tool is not there, it's very easy for you to identify that this particular tool is not there for measures to be taken to actually locate it. What essence are we trying to derive from this? Time management, waste. You don't spend a lot of time looking for items because time, they say, is always money. The lesser time you use in performing an activity, the more productive you become. And that's the essence. The third S is what we call say so. And with say so, the English word is shine. You can also call it clean. We can't be quick to say that for cleaning, we all know cleaning. Everybody cleans. What is so unique about cleaning? Yes, it is true that we do clean. But the type of cleaning that we do it as a task that is assigned, which must be done. And once you go to the office and then the cleaning is done, normally it is given to a specific person, normally the cleaners, to actually do the cleaning. But in 5S, we always said no. 5S, cleaning should be done by every worker, every operator in the machine, your computer, everything you are doing, you must be responsible for cleaning that machine. Why? The efficiency of that machine depends on the good state of that machine. Once you clean and you know the machine, you observe the cracks. You observe the machine, whether the machine has certain faults, whether there are some cracks, whether the machine bends, whether some bolts are loose. So the cleaning helps you to be able to ascertain the condition of the machine or the condition of the item, whether it is good for you to put that machine in use. And if not, quickly for you to update your supervisor for remedial measures so that the machine can actually be worked on quickly as possible. Remember, if you don't do that close monitoring and observing the state of the machine and you go into production and it breaks down, what happens? You have to stop, work on the working process, idle time, and then workers will be idling. So identifying the fault as early as possible, timely, is also essential for productivity improvement. And cleaning help you do that, in addition to ensuring that you're able to produce quality products. Because you will have defective machines that will give you defective products. The fourth S is what we call sekeshu. It's what we call sekeshu. Sekeshu. In the English term, we call standardize. We all know that if you give an opportunity to all workers to sort out, to set an order, and to clean a table or a floor, they will all give you different level of cleanliness, different levels of sorting, different levels of set and order. Why? Everybody has his own understanding of what cleanliness is all about. Everybody has his own understanding of what sorting, what is needed and what is not needed. There is a need for the company to be able to standardize this first 3S. How do you standardize? What type of mopping material should be used? What type of duster should be used? How many times can you clean it? Is it once? Is it twice? Is it on daily basis? Who does it? Is only one person that is supposed to do it, or one person does it, another person comes to continue? You should have a standard for the implementation of the seri, the seton, and then the sesu, or the sorting, the certain order, or this, the cleaning or the shining. Once we're able to have a standard, which will also include a standard operating procedures for this cleaning, it makes it easier for you to have an assured outcome for sorting, for certain order, and for cleaning. So this 4S is very important for you to be able to achieve your standard. The 5th S is shishike. Shishike means sustain in the English version. If you standardize, is that the end of your 5S? No. You should be able to sustain 5S because remember we said Kaizen is a continuous improvement. Therefore, if you are implementing a menu, an intervention that is aimed at improving the productivity, that intervention should also be a continuous improvement. You have to sustain it. And how do you do that? You do that by ensuring that all the 3S becomes a habit, becomes a culture, becomes a rule in that organization. And that is the 4th S. So you realize that these 5S, which includes the sorting, the certain order, the shining or the cleaning, the standardization and the sustain, is very, very, very important. Why is it important? Because you realize that if you are able to have a clean and well-organized company, it will enable you to be able to limit your idle time or your waiting time and improve on your productivity. And we always try to implement 5S in a factory in order to ensure that workers in that factory are Kaizen minded. Kaizen minded, team work, team spirit. They should be able to grow to become supervisors, managers, and take a leadership position and improve. And have a company that is friendly for Kaizen implementation because of the benefits that the implementation of the 5S will actually yield for the company. So the purpose of 5S is very important. Once you have such mindset, it enables you to be able to harness the full potential of 5S. How do you implement 5S? You can't just implement 5S by just going straight to the field. Planning is very key. Planning is a precondition for successful implementation of 5S. And to plan 5S, what is important first and foremost is to be able to have 5S committee to champion that. Remember, I did indicate that 5S activity, Kaizen activity involves everybody from top to bottom. It cannot be championed by one person. It is championed by all. It is championed by a team. You should be able to have a team, a committee responsible for some areas. If it's going to be on departmental basis, fine. If it's going to be mixed together, but it should be a team to foster team coordination and teamwork to be able to do that. And that is very important for the sustainability of 5S. And what is the composition of this 5S committee? Because it's from top to down, the CEO should be part of it. The CEO should be part of it. The deputy CEO should be part of it. Sectoral supervisors or management should be part of it. Supervisors should be part of it. And then also the factory floor operators should be part of it. In a company where you have a lot of departments, very big company, you can have 5S in each of these departments or functional areas. And then in each, you have the CEO, the deputy, and then the committee electing their leader to be part of this committee and should be responsible for the implementation of the first 3S and to sustain it. Remember, the CEO, deputy CEO, and then management must be part of it because their commitment to it will ensure the sustainability. Because there's a need for a little budget to be given when it comes to more the cleaning materials, sorting materials, and certain other materials. So their involvement will give them an overview of what is happening, and they'll be able to appreciate the outcome of Kaizen during your regular meetings. And normally, once you have these committees to regularly meet, clean, assess your performance, improve on the performance, communication becomes easier because the CEO, deputy CEO, and all management are part of Kaizen implementation. So that addresses the question, who implements Kaizen? Everybody implements Kaizen. Every worker, including the CEO, are always involved in the implementation of Kaizen. What you need to also understand is what are the tools, what are the methodologies of 5S. There are several tools, several methodologies. One is for you to assess the current situation. To assess the current situation, pictures are required. You have to take pictures because if you perform an activity now, the following day you come, it will be difficult for you to have a pictorial representation of the changes unless you have picture. And then they always say a picture is always far better than 1,000 words. So pictures are very important when it comes to purpose implementation. And then how to take the pictures is always a skill, and of which we are always willing to help companies to be able to do that. We have a fixed point observation type and problem focus type. The problem focus type is to focus on areas where you yourself know there is a mess in that area. You go there to have the picture, you do Kaizen 5S, and after that, you go back to take a picture around that particular place, standing at a fixed position so that you'll be able to see the changes that have occurred. So after taking your pictures and then using some of the tools, you'll be able to recognize the current condition of the workplace and collect information that is required to identify the problems and set a direction that will be able to turn things around. And then what things do we use? We use what we call 5S evaluation sheets or 5S check sheets. We have 5S audit sheets. You need a camera. So these methods and tools are required for you to be able to collect the information and assess this information or evaluate this information to establish areas for further improvement. So, and remember that because it involves everybody, there's a need for us to institute what we call a 5S promotion office, where all instructions can actually be given. And we can call it the contact person of 5S in the company, 5S promotion office, or 5S ambassador in that company. So that when it comes to 5S issues, management will be able to have a coordinated reports of all activities in the company. So these are just samples of the 5S check sheet, one of the tools that we can deploy for you to be able to collect all information that requires how tools, how materials, how parts, how items, how structures are put in place, how machines are positioned that can impede smooth flow of production process and therefore endangering workers' health, safety, impeding smooth the production flow, and then at the end of the day, affecting negatively when it comes to productivity. So this is one of the tools. We call it 5S check sheet. It's a detailed one that you deploy at the factory. And once you answer all this checklist, you can tell the rate of your factory performance when it comes to how things are kept, when it comes to how your company is managing the order to improve the productivity and quality. There's another tool we call 5S audit check sheet that we might not be going through that. So the details on that, on how to get this, will actually be given to you at the end of the training program. So once you have this, you have your 5S committee established, you have your tools and methodology to implement your 5S. The next thing is to set your goal. How do you set your goal? The committees that are formed are those that will brainstorm, analyze, set their own goal in their various functional departments, and then implement what they want to do so that everybody in that company can see the impact of the 5S. And then the goal setting starts from the recognition of the current condition, analysis. You set your goal, you display it for everybody to see, you implement it, you get feedback, and implement the recommendation of the feedback so that it becomes cyclical, it becomes continuous. Kaizen has no end. 5S has no end. So the responsibility for goal setting is for the 5S committee. And I explained that recognition of the current condition, you analyze, you have your goal, you display, you implement, and you have your feedback, and you move on. Once you have that, the next thing is to have an action plan. An action plan to be able to implement that goal. So you have your timetable, who does what, the frequency, and then when, and then you are able to implement your 5S. So this is just a sample, and then any company can have their own action plans per their own format. So it is also very important, once you have your action plan, you have to sit and discuss, brainstorm about that action plan, which is very important before implementation. After that, there's a need for all members of the company to periodically to always have what you call a training plan so that you'll be able to train them, refresh their mind on the essence of 5S. After the plan, you need to commit a little bit of resources. And you all agree with me that it is necessary to prepare a budget because you need items to clean. You need items to do sorting out. You need items to be able to arrange your items, your tool, your spare parts. There are some machines human beings cannot carry. You need a forklift to be able to do that. And if you don't have a forklift in your company, it means you have to hire. So little resources is actually required. And there's a need for the committee to budget that. After that, once budget is approved, then the CEO can call for a meeting and then actually launch the 5S implementation. So once 5S is once the CEO launch the implementation of the 5S, then it calls for everybody to go into implementation mode. And now the question comes, how do you implement your 5S? The first point, how to implement the 5S. The first S, which I indicated, is the sorting, and the Japanese version, the seiri, is to allocate time for seiri activities and prepare fully. You have your action plan, you know when to do your sorting activities, when to get when to arrange your items, get the necessary ones from the unnecessary ones, and to be able to ensure that raw materials, goods, items, spare parts, or unused machines that are not required are actually taking place. But remember, the decision doesn't lie on the factory floor operator. Normally, the employees will do the sorting, but you cannot say this machine is no more needed. The final decision will have to be taken by the CEO. Therefore, there's a need for you to retarget and then ask for confirmation from supervisors and the management. After that, there is an evaluation with all the supervisors, with this management to decide on all machines that have been red tagged. So if it is agreed that they are no more needed, then a decision is taken to dispose those items. And then those that are needed, then it is cleaned and then properly arranged or set in order in the company to assure the safety, to assure the convenience, to assure movement, free flow of movement in that company. So once that is done, sorting activity is actually carried out. Sorting activity is actually carried out. And then it will be interesting to note that most of our companies, we are always guilty of this. A lot of raw materials are there which we are not using. For instance, packaging materials, a lot, but we allow this to be in the company for a very long time and use machines for a very long time. So what you do is to try as much as possible to be able to red tag this, and then management decides that this is okay, this is not okay, we can dispose it off. And once management agrees with the red tag standard, then the decision can actually be taken. So they just an example of just red tagging. So, and they just a sample format of red tag that will indicate the name of the item, the part number, the parts name, the quantity, reason. We will be available to actually give you all these sampled sheets for red tag operation. The next S, how to implement the next S, is the set in order. Set in order. And this set in order, as I indicated, is very important. And how do you do that? To be able to put this in order, put machines in locations that will assure that production moves smoothly. These processes are very important. You have to classify the classification of targets for set in order activity. You should be able to declassify your items, your raw materials according to functions. Place them where they are closer to the performance of the activity or task, and arrange them in such a way that it is easy to locate. So it means you have to take a decision of location and method. You take a decision of location and method. Then to be able to prepare your tools and then place them in those locations. So once you are able to decide on which method to arrange your tools, arrange your parts, arrange your raw materials, arrange your finished goods, you have to decide on the location and then also decide on the arrangement. So once that is done and you properly arrange them according to the above the criteria, then implementation of the set in order is done. Remember, I did indicate that the set in order is not about how beautiful is this. It's not about the aesthetic. It's about time management. How you are able to use a limited time in searching for materials, in searching for parts, in searching for items in the company, so that you use less time in your operation. This is just a typical example of one company in Ghana, because I'm not allowed to mention the name. So before Kaizen, all these tools were inside this box. But after Kaizen, you see properly arranged with a method on a certain board or a display board. So the tools are classified according to their functions and arranged according to their sizes. So it's very easy for you to go for any tool without missing any word. And it will interest you to note that in this company, when Ghana Enterprise Agency implemented Kaizen, the search time was actually reduced from 98% before Kaizen to less than 3% after Kaizen. Tremendous impact. And that is what 5S can do. So this is another company where Ghana Enterprise Agency implemented 5S. So all these bolts and nuts were actually arranged this way. Sometimes even to find a particular bolt becomes very difficult. So workers spend a lot of time searching for bolt and nuts to be able to do their work. But after 5S, it is displayed this way. So the search time reduced drastically, and that impacted productivity greatly. The next S is the Seisu in Japanese version and shining or sweeping. And in here, to be able to implement it, what you need is to prepare your cleaning tools, determine the time and allocation of the cleaning area, determine and display the cleaning rules and give explanation to all, determine the person in charge of the tools, prepare the cleaning manual to explain the usage to all members, and clean workplace according to rules. Basically, what you need to do is to establish a standard operating procedure and establish responsibility to specific employees within the 5S committee to be able to do that. So you should be able to know what tools are required for the implementation of 5S, and it should be acquired. Who should take what tool, at what time, which area. So all this should be clearly defined to enable workers do proper cleaning or shining. Remember, I said it's not the matter of the aesthetic. It's observing. Once you clean, you observe the condition of the machine. Are there cracks? Are the bolts and nuts loose? Are there any defects with the machine? Just with a laptop, with any item, is one item just missing? Is it shaky? So it is for you to be able to establish the right condition even before work. So cleaning just goes beyond just making the machine clean. That will give you a good or quality the product, but it also helps you to prevent machine breakdown along the line, and remainder measures can be taken to address that. So, and these are some examples in Ghana where 5S was actually implemented. I would have wished to mention the name of the company, but you all know that when we implement Kaizen for you SMEs, normally you don't want your name, you don't want your company to be mentioned. So I will urge you that if we implement Kaizen, it should allow us to be able to mention your names so that people will actually appreciate that this is actually happening in Ghana. The fourth S, which I indicated earlier, is standardizing the practice. The standardizing the practice, I indicated earlier that if you sort, if you arrange or set an order, and if you clean or if you sweep, that is not enough. What is important is the cleaning is what is required. So it is not a matter of cleaning, sorting, or set an order or arrangement, but What you are doing, is it what is actually required, standard? So there's a need for standard operating procedures so that everybody knows what to do, how to do it, and in the standard that is required. So once we say cleaning at the factory floor and it is done, everybody agrees that this is what we refer to as the cleaning. Which detergent to use, what quantity of detergent to use, what water, what mop, everything should be clearly defined, and how many times, and what should be the state of the water. So once you're able to have a standard operating procedure that standardizes the operations, you can be assured that the first 3S can be done and done well for you to optimize the benefit of 5S and Kaizen. After standardizing, is that the end? No. 5S is not a one-stop activity. I indicated it's a continuous activity. It is not a means to an end. It is not. But it is a means to a starting point. It is not a means to an end, but a means to a starting point. So just to buttress the point of how there's a need for us to put in measures to sustain 5S, it means it should be continuous. It should be continuous. So how do you do that? You can do that by awarding 5S champions, committees that are doing well. You just award them, you recognize them, so you display their pictures, you make it a habit, a culture in that organization. So, and as indicated, it can be a slogan, it can be a poster, any activity that you think you'll be able to implement to ensure the continuation of the first 3S, it is very important. And these are just examples of the 5S. So it can be an award ceremony for you to call out the best department that has actually that is able to yield the best outcome or achievements. So this is not just the end. You can bring innovative strategies in order to be able to sustain the gains. And that is why we say the initiation, the leveraging of the employees is very critical for you to be able to harness the full potential of 5S. So you then asked that implementing 5S, spending your time to implement 5S, does it worth it? And I can tell you with all confidence, with over 10 years of implementing Kaizen for enterprises in Ghana, I can tell you that the impact of 5S on SMEs is very, 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 very great. The impact, very tremendous. One is to keep workplace clean and organized. You're able to record higher productivity. Through which way? The reduction of time spent in idling, in waiting, you're able to reduce it. You're able to eliminate that time. Consistency in producing quality products. The activity of making sure you're able to get the right raw materials through the sorting, to be able to have good machines functioning, able to have the team that is ready, committed, and pay attention, you're able to deliver good products. you're able to produce with less cost. So if you use the same time that you were using to produce a particular quantity, and then you are able to use the same time in increasing your level of productivity, it means that your unit cost will actually come down. It also enables you to have accuracy in delivery of goods and services. You don't disappoint your customers. You are able to meet your production schedules. You are able to meet your delivery schedules. Workers operate in a very safe environment because health and safety is key. Things are put in order, and workers are always high in their morale. I can tell you that the implementation of Kaizen in Ghana, and for that matter, 5S, which is always the beginning or the foundation of 5S, is well implemented close to over 300 companies in Ghana. And now, even as at now, is over 500 companies. As of today, Ghana Enterprise Agency is extending this to SMEs in Ghana. You may ask that, is it an extra job for the employees? It is not an extra job for the employees. It is part, and it should be part of the function of every worker. They should see it as such. And UNIDO, after perusing the impact of Kaizen that Ghana Enterprise Agency and JICA have implemented over the year, decided to come and support Ghana Enterprise Agency to extend, to upscale the provision of Kaizen to so many enterprises. Because an impact study that was conducted by the University of Ghana for the implementation of Kaizen for the past 10 years indicated that productivity of companies who implemented Kaizen improved over 60%. Product quality improved over 45.8%. Cost reduction is also improved by 28.9%. There are statistics, and some of you have already benefited Kaizen and 5S implementation. And I can assure you that the tool, the concept is very important, and it will be a panacea to the development of SMEs, a panacea to the competitiveness of our SMEs, not within the borders, not within the borders of Ghana, but also outside the borders of Ghana, so that we'll be able to leverage after. Kaizen is a tool that I refer to as invest little and get maximum returns. Ghana Enterprise Agency, UNIDO, is available to support any enterprise that is willing to implement Kaizen, that is willing to implement 5S, so that at the end of the day, you invest little but get maximum returns with an higher morale of your workers. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Kipo. Thank you very much, Kipo, for such an insightful presentation. We are open to questions. If you have any questions, kindly let us know. Can I unmute and talk, or you type in the question and answer? You can see at the top question and answer button. We can click and then you write it there, or you can unmute and let us know. As you are doing that, I also want to remind you that you have to follow us. If you want more information about the Kaizen project or the project for expanding the Kaizen initiative, you must be able to follow us and get interactive with us on our social media handles. I've shared our pages on in the chat. You can check the chat button. I've shared the pages direct links that you can quickly click on and follow us directly. So if you want to ask any question, just raise up your hand. Okay, I can see Kuma. Okay. I want to be sure. Is Kuma, is your hand up? You can unmute and ask questions.
Yes, for me, I'm not to ask questions, but I'm very excited about this presentation by Kipo. And interestingly, like I've learned a lot from that as a startup. And yes, I know this is going to help. So, Kipo, thank you very much for this info. And also, I'm also requesting for the slides for us to use in the future, so if it can be provided in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you too. We are grateful for the feedback. Anyone else?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you please introduce
This
yourself?
this is Dauda from
Okay, Dauda.
Northern region.
Dauda, we can hear you.
All right, I really got excited in joining and getting enlightened about all this program. But my company is a new company and we have not started that. So I wanted to know if really we want to go by Kaizen method, how can we begin it or how do you go for the production starts?
Yeah, Dauda, if I can hear you right, you're asking how you can implement Kaizen in your or at your factory because you are a new company. People.
Company that has not even started yet, but
You have
I
not
got it
started
and I
yet.
joined. I learned. Yes, and I thought if you implement it in future, it will help. But I just wanted to have an idea for now. Since we've not started, do we have to wait, or there's a way we can begin practicing it before everything starts?
Okay, thank you, Dauda. Anyone else?
Yeah, hello.
Yes,
Hello.
you are moving from your old facility to a new one. Can Kaizen still be implemented whilst you are moving to a new facility?
Can Kaizen be implemented in a new facility? Is that your question? Noted. Kipo will answer all the questions when he's ready to answer. Anyone else?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Charles. Is that Charles Atia? Collins, you can unmute. You can unmute and ask
Yeah,
your
sister.
question.
Okay. Okay, mine is more or less like contribution.
Okay, please go ahead.
So with the Kaizen, the 5S, if you are able to implement it well in our various firms, it will help in preventing environmental hazards or accidents at our workplace. So assuming we gather our things, our tools and equipment very well, we label it for people to see or for our workers to see, and whenever they are about to search for a new tools to do the work, they will not be in a hurry to pour all those things on ground before they pick the right one. So if you are able to label all our equipment, all our tools very well, it will help to promote the work on time, and also it will reduce accident at our various workplaces.
Thank you, Collins. Yes, Kaizen will help reduce accidents. Ruth Bracco.
Hello. Yes, my name is
Yes.
Ruth Malcolm, and my company's name is Full and Beauty by Faith. I have a small workshop, but I've noticed that when I set things in order, it helps work progress. But there was a mention of GE and UNIDO helping us. I was wondering if it's possible to get somebody to actually come to my workshop and give me ideas on how to structure for it.
Yes, it is possible. In fact, I'm going to share a Google form where you can let us know where you are located, and then we'll follow up. If you are well registered, I'm sure all those that are registered will have all your emails, so it'll be easy to reach out to you after this webinar. So, Auntie Ruth, it is possible. Okay.
Thank you.
Charles Hatia, is your hand still up?
Yes. So I have two issues. One, being able to ensure consistency of order. So you put things in order. Then the next time, maybe the next week, there is disorder. You put it in order again, then there is disorder. How to ensure that there is consistency of order? How are we able to achieve that through Kaizen? Then the second question is, you have a good plan, and then you've done the budget, but you don't have adequate resources to put the things needed to be put in place for full implementation of Kaizen. What do you do? Thank you.
Thank you too, Charles. Thank you. Madam Helen Clue,
Yeah,
please kindly
good
unmute and
afternoon.
ask your question. Good afternoon.
I'm really grateful for this workshop. I just want to thank UNIDO and GEA for organizing this workshop for us because it will really help me move my business forward. Thank you.
Thank you too, Madam Ellen. There's somebody by the name PPPP. Your hand is up. Could you please just tell us your name and then ask your question, please?
My name is Araba. And
Araba.
how do you go about I was fortunate enough to come across a company during our school days who was using fibers, and it takes a lot of effort. Even though it's not difficult, it takes a lot of effort. But when starting out a company, often when you set rules, sometimes people see it as unnecessary, like because fibers, you have to pay attention to the tiniest of details. And sometimes people in our local parlance say that, oh, yeah, dodo, you are being too strict with very tiny things. How do you go about motivating staff to pay attention to the tiniest details? Because where I used to work was a big company, and before we joined, it was already in place. So you had no choice than to follow the Kaizen principles, do the 5S, and then it was very good. I have to admit that it helped, even on a personal level. When you go home, it helps a lot. How do you go about motivating your staff to pay attention to these details? Thank you.
Thank you, Araba. How do you go about motivating your staff to pay attention to details and implement the 5S? Okay, if all the questions are there, I have some questions in the QA session. I think I've seen Paul.
I think let me respond to
Yes,
this
please.
and then see. Okay. First of all, I would like to appreciate my sincere gratitude for your feedbacks and then the questions. Shows you were actually following. The first question was whether Kaizen can be implemented in a startup, though your production is yet to start. Yes, 5S can actually can be implemented. So if we deploy the 5S check sheet and the 5S audit sheet, you'll be able to determine whether there will be a potential waste of time when it comes to some other areas. So yes, it is possible to deploy 5S in in a startup. So once you begin to place tools, once you begin to have a full set of your company, it is possible for you to implement 5S. The second question is that you have moved from your old factory to a new factory. So whether 5S can be applicable. Certainly, yes. 5S can be applicable. So the tools, the 5S check sheet, 5S audit sheet, and then all the other tools will train you, you'll be able to ascertain a lot of waste along the line so that to assure workplace safety and productive work life. Collins, thank you very much for adding to what we said in terms of adding that 5S also reduces accidents. So thank you for your your contribution as well. We actually value that. The next question, whether GA UNIDO can deploy someone to help you implement Kaizen. Yes, that is what we intend to do, and that is the purpose of this webinar. Ghana Enterprise Agency is trying to upscale Kaizen provision to a lot more SMEs. So SMEs that are interested can reach out to Ghana Enterprise Agency, can reach out to UNIDO. Ghana Enterprise Agency have staff across every district in Ghana, and we have trained all the district officers in Kaizen, and then 5S is one of the major menus or courses that we did. So we can reach out to them, we can support, coordinate to ensure that you have the necessary support to implement your Kaizen. Charles Atia also asked whether how to ensure consistency or order in Kaizen or 5S implementation. Yes, my experience as a consultant over the years indicates that the continuation of Kaizen is always a challenge. And Kaizen's main objective is the continuous, the sustainability of that approach. It is only until then you can harness Kaizen. And how do you do that? You can do that when standard operating procedures are established and become part of the norm, part of the habits, part of the culture. And then you evaluate, assess these workers, these cooperators, based on the implementation of 5S as part of their normal evaluation criteria. If their bonuses, if their awards, if their recognition is also tied to Kaizen implementation, they will always do it. So the sustenance is very key. Awards, incorporating it as part of your evaluation or your assessment indicators will ensure that workers know that once I do Kaizen, I'll actually be recognized for it. Helen also gave us a positive feedback. Thank you very much. And we also have another question that is asking how to go about motivating your workers to pay attention to details. It's very interesting, and to be honest, every worker is always capable. The only thing to get things done is when there is a standard operating procedure. Once you have a standard operating procedure, the standard operating procedure here is if you are to perform a particular task, where do you start? Where do you go? How do you determine that you have finished? So all those checklists must be ticked by the performer of that task. Then they are forced to pay attention to details. How do you motivate them? You motivate them when you recognize that the performance, the output meets the required standard. It's not only about the financial reward, but also about recognition, calling them openly, giving the certificates of recognition in an assembly, hugging, shaking hands, let them feel part of the company, that they are taking their own initiative to do that. And if there's a need for financial reward, yes, at the end of the day, and the company is capable, do that. So there is always satisfaction when a worker thinks that, yes, I've done it, and my supervisor is happy. That is also a very good form of motivating. So in Ghana, we are quick to say that motivation is always about finance, but that is not entirely true. People move from places with high salary to other companies taking less, and they are very happy with that. And we have the skill, we have the skill to train your workers to be able to commit to productivity. So we are available. Ghana Enterprise Agency is available to help you deploy Kaizen implementation that can motivate your workers. I'll go through the chats. I think there are some questions.
Yeah, does 5S have implementation software for passing standard audits in the manufacturing companies? That's a question coming from Paul. Tommy.
Paul.
Yeah.
So Paul, thank you very much. When it comes to a software, we have check sheets, and those check sheets can easily be converted into a software. Currently, the project and the initiators of the Kaizen, that is having developed an application, a software that you can use to detect the standard of 5S. Why so? Because it is a hands-on level activity. It's factory floor level operation. So even if you have the software, you have to input based on the outcome of the operations. So you can get a software after deploying your check sheet, you feed in those figures and you'll be able to have your data analyzed in terms of your percentage of 5S level, how to improve. So it is very easy in that regard, but we have not yet developed a Kaizen 5S software purposely for that. But we can do 5S audits using our Excel sheets, using our own internal system that will be able to give you the same results.
There's another question. The person is asking that whether they could implement Kaizen because they are now currently building their factory. Is Kaizen relevant at this point?
Yes, Kaizen in general is very relevant at this point, and that is the point is even more relevant because the machine layout, or what you call the layout of the factory, machine layout is very critical at this stage. Your position of the machines in the factory determine the relationship between the operators, workers, and space. So your time optimization starts now. So if you have wrong layout, you have to spend more time in actually performing the task. If you have wrong layout, you require a lot of space. You require a lot of movement. You require a lot of transportation. So all that can actually be addressed at this stage. So 5S is more critical even when you are even building the factory and then installing the machines. So 5S is Kaizen is very important at this stage.
Thank you, Kipo. If there are no more questions coming, I want to remind you again, I've shared the link, a form, Google form link in the chat. If you want to be assisted after this webinar, you want to invite experts to your shop or to your factory to support you implement Kaizen, and you can fill in your details in the form. Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, your silence means you are satisfied. Salome. Salome's hands is up. Salome, kindly unmute and ask your question. Salome.
Hi,
Linda.
Linda. Hi, Linda.
Hello,
Thanks so
Salome.
much.
We can hear you.
Yeah, thanks so much to UNIDO and the GA team for this session. I want to ask, after filling the form, are there any monetary commitments in terms of getting the experts to your site? Thank you.
People, Salome is asking whether they will
Thank you
pay
very
for
much.
any support.
So thank you very much, Salome. As I did indicate that we are in collaboration with Ghana Enterprises Agency, and then we have built the capacity of Ghana Enterprises Agency, their district staff all over the country, and they are in touch with SMEs across. For this project, they are not financial commitment when it comes to us providing direct services to you, no financial commitment. But there will be financial commitment during the Kaizen implementation if we realize that you need to buy a particular item board for us to be able to do it better for you. So the materials that is required for Kaizen implementation, that cost is yours, but you don't pay for the services of UNIDO. That UNIDO is taking care of that. With regards to Ghana Enterprises Agency, they have their own system that they operate. Once you reach out to them, they reach out to you. They have different category of SME and the kind of services that they actually reach out to them. So in any of this case, you will actually be supported to actually implement Kaizen. But for UNIDO and this project, no financial commitment is involved. Thank you.
Yes, finally, I have a question. I want to find out this video recording. Is it possible you can share it so that some of us who are a bit busy, so wearing too much following, can go back and watch it for final again? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. I think it's a very good question. We would actually reach out to all of you after relaying that to NIDO and Ghana Enterprise Agency because it's a collaboration. If it is possible for us to share straightforward, we'll have to do that because it's a capacity. You need to have it. But I don't want to give straightforward because there's a need to seek the clearance from Ghana Enterprise Agency and the UNIDO. Once that clearance is given, we'll just share. Already you have all the content. Thank you. So I think because of the time, maybe the last question we scheduled to finish at 12 is now going to 1. So Jalinda, if you can just take the last question and then.
Last question. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead.
I want to find out if in case I want to implement the Kaizen in my factory, then I want to invite you to come for let me see a commission of it. Will it be possible for Kaizen to get me a representative to come?
Yes, what I can tell you is that we are in collaboration with Ghana Enterprise Agency. And then to give a commitment now will be too early because you know how schedules are always very tight. And Ghana Enterprise Agency also have so many other activities. So you have to indicate that you have this and then it will be run against the schedules. And then we'll be able to see whether a representative will actually be able to come to you. But it will be a great thing, a great opportunity for UNIDO, for Ghana Enterprise Agency to be present when you are actually launching your business. It will give us a view and then also the commitment of how you have with regards to Kaizen implementation. But we cannot give you a confirmation that will actually be there. It will depend on a lot of factors and availability.
Thank you very much. I would really love to do that if I want to contact you.
Okay.
And another one in the near future to really be part of my program, as I'm saying.
Oh, I think there is a form that the moderator or communication expert has circulated. So you just have to fill the details, and then our emails, our contacts are also displayed. You just reach out to us. You reach out to GA district level, and then we'll actually be contacted. Thank you. But you are muted. You are muted, Linda. Yes, we can hear you now.
We want to take a group photo. So kindly switch on your cameras if you don't mind, so we can take a screenshot. I'll use it for our publications. If you don't switch it on, then it means that you've not given me permission to post about this webinar with your photos. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ready?
Yeah.
Oh, I see some of you smiling really nice. Okay.
Some of us, we only smile when we see money.
Oh, thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. This is
Thank you.
great. Thank you very much. Ah, I see lone faces. Augustina Francisca. Oh, nice. Thank you.
Hello, Lynn.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now we all know about the 5S. We are grateful you made time to join us, but I want to also book the December 7th. December 7th. Mark it on your calendar. There will be another webinar on Kaizen model, the 7S. We hope to gather here again as a family and learn all that we need to know to make our operations at the factory level and our companies better. Thank you. And Kipo, would you want to have a final word to say? If my project manager Mari is online, maybe you might want to share a closing remark briefly. Hello, Marin. Hello, Marin. Would you want to say a word before we go offline?
Okay. Yeah, I think he might have dropped also.
Okay.
I want to take the opportunity to thank all of you for actually participating. We are more than happy for spending your time. We live to actually serve you. Without you, there will not be anything for us to actually work on. So your existence means that we have a lot of mandate. And Ghana at this juncture means that we have to actually improve on our factory level operations in order to improve our efficiency, in order to improve your productivity, improve quality, and to be competitive within Africa and then the global market space. So, and this is a starting point. We can do it. It's just always a decision for you to take, and then we are ever ready to actually support you. Take the decision, take the initiative, use internal resources, leverage on your workers so that we'll be able to get to the promised land. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for your attention, and may God bless us all.
God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bless you too.
Bye.